Good afternoon and welcome to the next session as part of the GenCFO Summit. Now, this session is Want to See My Future? Call My AI Agent. And it's been a hugely popular one, so a very warm welcome to you all. Before we get started, before I introduce you to our speaker for today, I would just like to say a very big thank you to our wonderful partners, ACCA, AICPA and CIMA. Thank you for all your support. We couldn't have done it without you. And to our headline sponsors, NetSuite and Planful. So next slide, please. Just to say, this summit belongs to you. Next slide, please. It would be brilliant. We'd love to hear your reactions. We'd love you to use the chat. Please do ask questions. Tell us where you're checking in from, and anything you hear, any nuggets you'd like to share with the rest of your community. If you wanted to share anything on LinkedIn, then please use the hashtag GenCFO Summit. The session will be recorded and will be shared to pro members on our community platform and also via the Hey Summit website for those of you who have a full access ticket. So that's enough from me. So next slide, please. It gives me great pleasure to introduce your expert for today, speaker Peter Morgan from Deep Learning. Peter is the Deep Learning Partnership. My apologies. Peter is founder and CEO. It's wonderful to have you here today. Thank you so much for this. I'm going to leave everybody in your very capable hands and enjoy the session.
Thanks a lot, Sophie. So hi, I'm Peter Morgan. I am the founder and CEO of Deep Learning Partnership. We are an AI consulting company based in London. I'd just like to thank GenCFO for inviting me to present today. It's a wonderful privilege. So without further ado, I'm going to talk to you about progress in agentic AI, technological advancements, and business applications. Okay, this is my website there, deeplp.com. So the overview, what is agentic AI, technological development, business applications, challenges, and ethical considerations in the future of agentic AI. Okay, so what is it, right? What are we talking about today? So big step back. We've all heard of AI, right? Maybe, agentic AI is starting to come on our radar now as well. This field is moving very fast. So I've been in the field of AI for about 12 years. So these changes, the rate of change is surprising even me and a lot of the experts as well. So don't feel too bad if you're feeling the same thing. So AI is a general purpose technology. Why are we here? It's the fourth industrial revolution. It's a true inflection point in human history because why? If we solve intelligence, then we basically can use it to solve everything else. So some have even said it's our final invention. Just a few terms now, so we don't get too confused as we go through the presentation. So we've got these three terms, right? AI, machine learning, deep learning. How are they the same? Are they different? Well, yeah, they're different. So AI is to be everything. Machine learning is a part of AI, and because you can have rules-based systems with part of intelligence as well. Machine learning is when the systems learn from the data itself, and then deep learning is a special type of or specific type of machine learning, also known as artificial neural networks. So they're basically biologically inspired based on how the mammalian brain processes information. They've turned out to be the most general and powerful of all the machine learning tools, not surprisingly, because nature's had 4 billion years to craft us, right? And so, yeah. So lots of new models. I'm sure you guys have been seeing these in the news. OpenAI, Gemini, Claude from Anthropic, Llama, Microsoft 5.4, Mistral. Lots going on, and hundreds and even thousands of other models, but these ones you may have heard of. Okay, so what is an AI agent? So this is kind of the key slide probably, but anyway, it's a lot of writing, but we'll spend a little bit of time just going through this. So software systems that use AI or LLMs, and in this talk we'll use AI and LLMs interchangeably. So software systems that use AI to pursue goals and complete tasks on behalf of users, right? So they show reasoning, planning, and memory. They can converse, learn, and make decisions. So they're like us in some sense. have a level of autonomy to make decisions, learn and adapt. They're made possible, and this is an important point, in large part by the multi-modal capacity of generative AI and AI foundation models. So ever since ChatGPT was released November 2022, then that kind of brought AI and LLMs and deep learning into the public consciousness. Okay, before that, it was more inside the AI community, which had grown quite large, but really, it was the fastest downloaded app ever, 100 million users in 2 months, right? So people love intelligence, and it's a love sort of. It's there's a lot of fear and a lot of excitement at the same time. So that's probably why so many people downloaded the app. And then it can process AI agents can process multimodal information like text, voice, video, audio, and code. So they do the whole lot. It's not just text. Agents can work with other agents to coordinate and perform more complex workflows. So that's important. This is why businesses, we're seeing uptake in businesses because they can kind of automate workflows. Okay, so another slide, agents, sort of summary, reasoning, planning, memory, sort of takeaway, think multiple steps ahead, work across software and systems, and they're under our supervision. Okay, so what's the difference? We'll get all the definitions out of the way. What's the difference between agentic and generative AI? Agents have high autonomy, high adaptability. They can set their own goals, and they need minimal human oversight. Whereas generative AI, and this is what we've been used to since ChatGPT, low autonomy, low adaptability, no goal setting, and human oversight. In other words, we type the prompts, we get one answer back, we type another prompt, another answer back. They're amazing, but they're not automated. That's where the AI agents come in, the automation. But we needed these super powerful generative AI models to enable us to build super powerful agents. So here's some companies. You may or may not have heard of these. So a lot of them are new. So the agent is is full stack, right? So like any software system, we need authentication, security, the framework. The RAG stands for retrieval augmented generation. That's when they can go out and get information, bring it back to, so they actually anchor stuff in ground truth, because these systems are statistical by nature. They hallucinate. So if we can get them to go out, check the internet, check a company database, bring that information back into the information processing, that can ground them and reduce hallucinations, and then the orchestration layer. So the most common ones here are probably Llama Index, LangChain, and Crew AI. The rest you may not have heard of. They're quite new. So even LangChain, Llama Index, Crew, they've only been around a couple of years. This is all brand new stuff, and all the rest have been around under 12 months. So this is a super fast moving field, fastest one I've ever seen by far. Okay, and I've been in tech over 20 years. So this is moving breakneck speed. So the benefits of agents, why might we want to put them into our workflows? Well, they basically reduce time, they automate everything, they simplify complex tasks. They run 24/7. Us humans, we need to sleep. We can work 8 hours a day, and then we need a break, and they don't take breaks. And lower cost, and they'll be better, faster, cheaper than us, basically, right? What's not to love? But there are risks. It does come with risks, obviously. So there's unintended consequences, complexity. They are, depending on how many agents you have, think of thousands, millions of agents. That's a complex system right there. Just like organizations full of humans, complex systems, no different than digital workers, i.e. agents running in the cloud. There's accountability, liability, cybersecurity risks, tool misuse, and lack of explainability. So benefits and risk, like any technology, can be a double-edged sword. And Gartner report, October 2024, by 2028, Gartner reckons at least 15% of day-to-day work decisions will be made autonomously through agentic AI. That's up from 0% today. So that's pretty impressive. 15% of human white collar work will be automated by 15%. What are we going to do? It could be higher than that. Obviously, it could be up to 50%. Who knows? Depending on the rate of change, rate of progress. Well, it can augment us. So maybe, and we'll have the same number of humans, but just we'll be augmented by, millions of digital agents. If it's sounding sci-fi, it is, but it's actually real at the same time. Okay, so what about technological developments? So data quality is needed. Again, these are full stack solutions. So we need the data, we need the algorithms, we need the hardware. So data quantity and quality has been improving, right? Garbage in, garbage out. We need high quality data in, and then we get high quality output. Quality in, quality out, as I like to say. The LLM development, they're talking about ChatGPT, Gemini, Anthropic, Claude, the ones we saw on the slide at the beginning, Llama, Mistral. So rapid evolution of these LLMs has enhanced their ability to learn and process multimodal data, not just language anymore, but video, audio, images, code, making them more powerful for various applications. So we got that, we got the data, the algorithms, and then there's agentic systems themselves. Obviously, I didn't put that there, the hardware, the NVIDIA, if you look at them, they're the second most valuable company in the world, way over 3 trillion at the moment. And so that's a hardware story that's increasing exponentially as well. And then the agentic AI systems themselves, advancements in the agentic orchestration layer has been essential for creating sophisticated agentic AI systems. So those are the companies we saw earlier. Remember the orchestration layer, frameworks like LangChain and Llama Index. So I only have 2 technical slides here. You'll be happy to know maybe. Some might like more, but we'll see how it goes. So agent-to-agent communication requires protocols. Google has kicked off an effort to do that. It's an open source, and they already have a couple of hundred members joined. So what we're looking for always is convergence in standards. We normally begin with tens or hundreds of different standards, then or different protocols and frameworks, and we want to narrow that down, hopefully to one in the end. So this one looks promising candidate, agent-to-agent communication there, communication between agents. And the other one is called MCP, or Model Context Protocol. That's the agents talking to tools, going out, function calling functions, calling tools, calling APIs, right? API calls. Bit technical, but so that's the whole sort of system. You've got the agent to agent and agent to tool protocols. So that's it, the technical slides. So what about, in terms of people actually going into work, software engineers? Now we've got AI engineers, and now the latest thing is an agent engineer. That sounds like a pretty cool job to me. How about you? Right. So application of agentic AI in business. Let's get a bit practical and down to earth now. So if we want to implement these things, they are complex systems. They're very early stage. So we need to establish a clear AI vision and strategy. Define what success looks like. We need to commit to a strategic investment, and then allocate the necessary resources. So that's technology, talent, and infrastructure, right? A lot of it's running on the cloud. Some will be running on-prem if security on the cloud is an issue. We need to implement robust governance and ethical frameworks. So we got to think about data privacy, security, and regulatory compliance. Cultivating an AI-ready talent culture and culture within the business. So this stuff AI is just sweeping through, right? Society at the moment, including business, government, science, just consumer and business, right? So we're trying to cultivate an AI culture now because it is catching a lot of people off guard and by surprise. So businesses are no different. Let's invest in upskilling and reskilling your workforce. Starting with AI and then moving into AI agents, and then start with pilot programs, right? Don't try and boil the ocean. So this is a new technology, but it's still a technology. So lessons learned we can apply to the agentic AI. So let's have a look at a few applications. Finance, financial services, right? Fraud detection, automated trading, and personalized financial advice. I won't go into too much detail. We've got 5 use cases here. So, I mean, maybe we'll go over the finance a little bit, but I don't think we'll spend a lot of time because, whatever domain you're coming from, it will be applicable to you, but maybe not so much to others. But since this is a, CFO conference, then let's have a little look at financial services. So what about fraud detection? Agentic AI will significantly enhance fraud detection capabilities. Okay, so we kind of have to think, right? So what do humans do, right, to detect fraud, and what systems are we using at the present? Well, then try to take the humans out the loop and replace them with these digital workers called AI agents, agentic AI systems, swarms worrying about checking databases, using LLMs to detect fraud, patterns and data to detect fraud. And yeah, what type of agents will we need? We train them specifically for that task. We have kind of a management agent or a supervisor agent to coordinate everything. It's running on the orchestration layer, the lang chains of the world, and end-to-end agentic workers. Now, human in the loop, obviously for the next few years, but we can maybe see a time, right, if we squint really hard, where humans will be mostly out of the loop, and these agentic AIs will be doing all of this fraud detection, trading, and giving advice. So pretty cool stuff. Scary and exciting at the same time. I understand that as well. We'll leave questions to the end. We'll have Q&A at the end. So I'll leave plenty of time for that. So customer service is another one, enhancing, call centers, customer service agents. It'll automate all of that. Probably see that quite easily. Operations. So we'll have agents running around in the background, making everything efficient, looking for errors, catching errors, fixing errors. Pretty cool stuff. Right. Analytics and strategic decision making. It will work. It's very early days, but we will get it to work. So these things will be happening. It's really just a matter of when, not if. So data analysis, they're great at doing that. Digital data scientists, trend identification and forecasting. And then healthcare and pharmaceuticals are great for that. Patient management, diagnostics, but also drug discovery, right? So AI this is pretty exciting stuff because it's accelerating scientific research, including drug discovery. So we can cure cancer and other diseases much quicker than if AI had not been invented. So super cool, really. It's a great use case, very positive one. So challenges and ethical considerations now. We're about halfway through. So bias and fairness is inherent in these agentic AI systems, but they're inherent in us as well, humans. So bias in AI algorithms can result in unfair treatment of individual. We don't want that. We want to try to reduce and mitigate bias as much as possible. Again, that's the garbage in, garbage out. So that all comes down to the data. If the data set's biased, then the output will be biased. So we really have to pay attention to the data set and try to remove or debias, right? That's where it starts. And then the algorithms can do a good job and the output is good as well, unbiased. Need for fairness is an urgent need for fairness. Okay, so, different regions of the world, we don't want to exacerbate inequality. We want to try to reduce it. And I can kind of see how that might happen, but we have to make sure we do make that happen rather than the other way around. The rich get richer, the inequality divide, that type of thing, the digital haves and the digital have-nots. Fortunately, these things, ChatGPT and everything else, we type, it's the English language now. We soon will be talking to them, agents, right? Digital agents or digital humans kind of thing. And they'll just be like humans. And so, yeah, it can be done, but we have to really pay attention to that, make sure that, everyone's kind of treated fairly and equally. And then transparency. So, what we can't measure, we don't know what's going on. So we want to make these things as transparent as possible, these AI systems. And so, yeah, that's how we get trust. And trust is everything. If there's no trust, no one's going to deploy anything and we'll just stick with rules-based computing, right? So trust is number one. Got to make them trustworthy. Data privacy and security, importance of data, data privacy is everything. I don't want these tools, using my data unless I give a permission, neither the companies. So that's super important. User trust, again, the trust and the regulatory compliance. So we have the EU AI Act, we have GDPR, we have a lot of regulations kind of being formed and developed and slowly coming online. In all the different regions of the world. Will we ever have one standard? We don't know. Is it desirable? Probably, the less complexity, the better in the regulatory landscape. So keep an eye on that. The EU AI Act, just like GDPR from the EU, I think the EU AI Act will sort of set some kind of template for everyone else to kind of use, but I'm sure there'll be regional differences as well. Okay, so I probably just covered this slide. Yeah, I mentioned the EU AI Act, and legal implications is important though, because we have to pay attention to compliance. If we break the law, then there's huge fine. The AI Act, it's like 7.5% of revenue, something like that. These are pretty meaningful penalties, so definitely pay attention to compliance as it's slowly coming online now. Trying to keep up with the pace of development, right? The regulations, so they have their work cut out for them. Cool. So what about the future? What does this look like? So emerging trends and technologies. So, okay, so explainable AI. How do we make these black boxes, which are these LLMs, these artificial neural networks? How do we make them explainable? Can we even make them explainable? So the biggest models have about 2 trillion parameters at the moment. And yeah, GPT-4o, Gemini 2.5, I think Llama 4, they're up to a trillion, ballpark's a trillion parameters. Now, the human brain, we have 100 billion neurons, right? So they're as complicated as the human brain. We have a few more synapses than that, but, it's kind of comparable. Is the human brain explainable? In no way it is, right? When we make decisions, our thought processes, we can put ourselves under MRI scans, and try to see what's going on, but it's just too complex, right? Really, really complex. So we have to be a bit realistic about how explainable we can ever make these digital versions of ourselves. But explainable AI focuses on making AI systems more transparent. We'll do our best. And then what we can monitor really is kind of the output. And just like when we ask humans, how did you come to that decision? Then, we can break our thought process down and try to explain step by step what we did. That's exactly the same thing we'll be doing with these agentic AI systems. Ethical AI development, it's got to be ethical. Do the least amount of harm, I guess, is the overarching rule there. Do no harm, it's even better, right? So yeah, basic fundamental ethics. Do unto others, don't the last thing we want to use these tools for bad and to harm and to increase inequality, yeah. So ethical is super important. There's a growing emphasis on ethical AI as these tools mature. I think the LLMs are quite mature now, but the agentic systems will mature over the next 2 or 3 years. You ain't seen nothing yet kind of thing. And there's ensuring that AI systems are fair, accountable, and designed. So if we cannot hold these systems to account, or the providers, these agentic AI system providers, who will probably end up being the usual suspects, Microsoft, Google, Amazon, the cloud providers, et cetera, OpenAI, Anthropic. If we can't hold them accountable, then what's the point, right? If something goes wrong and you have no recourse, then no one's going to deploy that either. So it's in their best interest to make these things as accountable as possible, set up guardrails, set up tools, monitoring tools, make them explainable, so at least we can examine their output. That's what I mean by explainable. And the last thing, we touched on this earlier, is they will accelerate scientific progress, which is super exciting. So we can use, agentic AI in all aspects of scientific discovery. Super exciting new field, curing cancer. We can make better solar cells, more efficient batteries. That's tackling climate change and, medicine. I mean, a double-edged sword, right? Super upside, but unless we take care of the downsides, we won't get to enjoy the amazing upsides. Okay, cool. Like any technology, but this is probably, amplified 100x or something, because we saw at the beginning, it could be our final invention. We're automating human intelligence, human thought itself. So yeah, super powerful. And, they will become more intelligent, super intelligent than us. How are we going to control them? That type of thing. So that's a big focus in the AI community right now, called AI safety, AI control, AI alignment, AI explainability. Okay, so we've got these wonderful tools to work now. Let's sort of focus on safety as they become more and more powerful. What about the workforce impact, sometimes known as technological unemployment? So it's we are seeing it transform the workplace a little bit already, but yeah, it will transform it completely, up to including the automation of all jobs. white and blue collar. So blue collar is the robotics. You stick the LLM inside the robot, and then you get a ton of robots speaking to each other. They're AI agents, but they're in the AI agents in the physical world, the AI agents in the digital world. So the white collar workers will be displaced first because robots are harder to build. But eventually, yeah, we can essentially see a future where all work is automated. Okay. Again, yeah, interesting. But I did say on the first slide, it's the most, impactful invention we'll ever make, and the most, so yeah, we got to kind of step back now and again and look at the big picture. Shifts in job roles, a little more practical, down to earth. As agentic AI evolves, certain job roles will diminish while others will emerge, right? So we'll have to reskill a little bit, and yeah, retrain, reskill. So we'll be augmenting ourselves with AI agents, digital workers for a long time, before they become completely autonomous. So yeah, we'll become more supervisors. I think now we supervise, humans, and soon we'll be having to supervise digital workers as well. So there'll be need for new skills. The integration of agentic and digital workers will necessitate the development of new skills among employees just to remain relevant. Okay, Brave New World coming up. Business opportunities, unlocking growth opportunities. So leveraging agentic AI allows companies to identify and exploit new growth opportunities. It's going to be a ton of opportunities, right? A lot of risks to take care of, a ton of opportunities. Use our imaginations. How can we use them to make our businesses more effective, efficient, and profitable and innovative? So companies that adopt agentic AI can enhance their competitive edge, enabling them to outperform rivals. If we don't use them, we will lose. So we haven't really got a choice. I mean, if we slow down and China doesn't, again, that's not a choice. So it's going to happen, whatever, guys. Driving innovation, agentic AI fosters innovation across industries, leading to new product development and process improvement. It'd be interesting to see all the developments. Some people say, well, we'll have 10 years in a century, or century in 10 years. Yeah, interesting times ahead. Okay, so it is a transformational technology. A couple of slides left, and then we'll go to Q&A. So agentic AI signifies a major step, right? Change in technological innovation. And, I've sort of hammered this point, the whole time. So hopefully it's sort of starting to trickle in there, enhancing efficiency and effectiveness across all sectors. It's a general purpose technology, like we saw on the first slide. Going to impact everyone. No one escapes here alive, as it were. That's a metaphor. Metaphorically speaking, I didn't mean that. Literally, hopefully. So transforming business, the implementation of agentic AI has the potential to revolutionize traditional business models and practices, along with economics in general. We may have to restructure our whole economic system. It's that impactful. Every industrial revolution, whether it was steam, electricity, the digital revolution, and now this, the AI revolution, we've had to restructure. Society gets restructured, right? But this will be the major restructuring, I think. Will capitalism even survive? We don't know. So harnessing AI, we may need a basic income. A lot of people, that's more the political side of it. So harnessing AI power by understanding and addressing challenges, organizations can leverage AI to drive future growth, innovation, efficiency. So we've got a lot of interesting developments ahead of us. And in conclusion, I'll just say that AI agents are a fundamental shift in how businesses will operate and compete. Proactive C-suite leadership is essential to harness their transformative power. So we need really strong leadership here to really, navigate us through this interesting period in history. Proactive and strong C-suite leadership is essential to harness this power. And we are very early. I'd just like to emphasize that very, very early in the adoption cycle of agentic AI. We need to improve the reliability and the security first before we really, roll it out in anger, put it into production. As proof of concepts are underway. And then it's potentially a huge market. Remember, I said the automation of all labor, and that's white and blue collar eventually. I mean, I could see kind of a lot of white collar being automated in the next 5 years, maybe blue collar 10 years, but it won't be that long. It'll be in our lifetime, guys. The children will have a whole different world to grow up in. So I think that pretty much ends there. I wanted this to be around 30 minutes. I think we're almost dead on. So there's some references. The usual suspects, so you can have a look at those. McKinsey, Google, Microsoft, right? I went to the source. Okay, so Q&A. Got any questions, guys?
Hi there. So yeah, there are a few questions. Well, there's coming in. So how about if I put them to you, Peter, and let you take the lead if that's okay. So from Vaska Basak, why do agents need protocols to communicate with each other as opposed to communicating in English or any other human invented language, or indeed inventing their own languages for efficient and unambiguous communication?
Yeah, well, we have protocols, right? Humans have protocols. Otherwise, it'd just be chaos. We'd all be talking over each other all at once. So that's what these agentic protocols do. They just, it's peer to peer. Let one agent speak at a time. Hey, how are you? Are you there? Yes, I'm there. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's what we mean by communication protocols. No different than, telecom today, right? This is I have a telecom background, in fact, started off in telecom, and it's all about protocols. So this is no different. The only thing is they're agentic, and that they're kind of intelligent, right? And they're using deep learning neural networks, and they're not rules based like normal telecoms. So yeah, that's the only different. We still need protocols, whether it's human or agentic or non-agentic. So was that the whole question?
That was the whole question, I think. Yeah. And
Okay.
moving on, there's a number more to get through. Um, so next question from George sounds like agentic AI is not a co-pilot but a pilot, or am I oversimplifying this?
Yeah, it's kind of a co-pilot. If it augments us, it's a co-pilot. If it becomes completely autonomous, then it'll be a pilot, right? But I think we'll always need it to be a co-pilot because then we're in control, and that's what we want, right? We don't want to lose control and have the agents kind of telling us what to do, right? Yeah, I
Sure.
don't. So yeah, hopefully, for as long as we can, we'll keep them as co-pilots. All good. Yeah.
Okay, and then next question is quite a long one, so I'll read through it. So is superintelligence necessarily the reason for humans feeling the need to control AI? I expect a lot of university professors are more intelligent than the average person, but there does not seem to be a massive issue with having to control them, with the
Yeah.
exception of ethics and risk management relating to certain technologies coming from universities, such as atomic weapons and cloning of animals, etc. Taking things a step further, could AI ironically help us to be better humans?
Yeah, they can. That's one picture of the future I have in mind. Yeah, it may kind of elevate our own consciousness, in fact, where we see super intelligent systems, kind of not doing the stuff that we do, which kind of, takes us away from being good and ethical, right? Unethical. Yeah, the jury is out on whether these things will be how unethical they will be. Yeah, I mean they already there's when these engineers inside of Anthropic and OpenAI and Google test them, right, and they do test them before they release them, because there's a lot at stake for them as well if something goes wrong. They're seeing that they can kind of say, okay, but to achieve the goal, they will do kind of sneaky stuff already, and it's called deception. And a bit like us, really, sometimes we cut corners just to get things done right. We'll break the rules. It's not, they haven't been too unethical, but yeah, I mean, we don't know. So we're going to have to, this AI alignment and AI safety is really the most active area of research in AI development at the moment, not just
Hmm.
making it more capable and more powerful. Um, but so there's different aspects to intelligence. Sure, professors are more intelligent than, a lot of people, but only in one sense, right? And that's mostly in research. Maybe that they're not CEOs of big companies. It takes a whole different type of intelligence. you
Sure.
know yeah, so there's different types of intelligence. So I think our default is to think IQ tests, clever guys at school, professors, but really, there's artistic intelligence, there's philosophical intelligence, there's political intelligence, there's
Hmm.
CEO intelligence. So intelligence is not one dimensional. In fact, Howard Gardner in the 80s at Harvard came up with 9 different types of intelligence.
Mm,
I love that framework. I always refer back to it. Interpersonal and introspection.
emotional intelligence. Yeah.
Emotional, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Social
No.
intelligence.
Fascinating, isn't it? I think we could talk about that one all day, but I'm going to skip on
Sure.
to the the next
Soft skills.
question.
Soft skills. Yeah, thanks. Thanks.
Is there a benefit to being an early adopter in this area, or should we be holding off for an improved product?
Early adopter, right? Yes, yes and no. Yeah. Yeah, I guess startups can kind of they can take more risk and they haven't got as much to lose. Big companies will be sandboxing these, they'll be trialing them, they'll be doing proof of concepts, very limited. And so you don't want to just throw these things into production, right? If you're a multinational company, yeah, you want to test the heck out of them right now because, like I say, they need to be more reliable and security has to be nailed down, both from external threats, but also these things like we were talking about earlier. They kind of can do these deception moves. So we got to kind of really understand what they're going to do. Yeah, basically, most companies need 5 nines reliability, right? Because they have SLAs with their customers. 90% is just not acceptable in most system services and products and services. So yeah, we've still got some work to do.
Sure. Okay. Um, and this one from Christina, what would be the most effective options for upskilling or reskilling the finance workforce? Would it be formal education courses or informational vocational courses?
Yeah, take as many courses as you can. Could be internal, could be external. There's a lot of external service providers right now. That's the normal suspects is bringing AI into their portfolios, right? Their education portfolios. There's a lot of stuff on LinkedIn Learning, I've noticed. Just so many people are offering their training nowadays. Most of it's a lot of it is open source and kind of free, but some you have to pay. And then there's these really big brands offering courses that will cost you money, but the quality is very high on those ones as well. So there's a range of options, but as with any new technology, education is key, right? The more we know, the better we'll be able to handle what's coming our way.
Fantastic. And then next from Alexandra, what growth could a company harness if 15% of jobs and people's earnings are lost in the next 5 years?
Yeah, it's tricky, isn't it? It's sort of
Mm.
optimistic, a rosy picture is they're not lost, these 15%, but they're augmented. So we become 10 times more productive, because our job is transitioned into more supervising a ton of digital workers. So yeah, we kind of go into these managerial kind of roles. We still have to understand what they're doing to check their work, right? But it's no different than the human organization. It's just that we're introducing digital workers as well. The other side is that, yeah, those 15% of jobs just go, right? And there's nothing left to
Hmm.
train into. So what do we have to do to earn an income? Essentially, that's where the basic income would come in. The government will have to step up. So some people call it a robot tax. Start taxing the providers like Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, who are kind of already, we're seeing that they're kind of accumulating a lot of wealth. NVIDIA, I mentioned earlier, $3 trillion company. So maybe we're going to have to, that's what I was saying about the whole economic structure might have to change eventually. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. This one's quite specific for our world. So, I'll put it to you and see what you think. But what do you think the future, what do you think, why do you think, sorry, what do you think the future looks like for accountancy firms in an AI agent world?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. So, and it can apply to any specific domain, but accountancy, you're the domain expert, so you can tell me what you do now and what might be you could see being replaced, the first things to be replaced in your workflows, right? Because if you break it down, we've all got workflows, no matter how important we think our job is or how intelligent we think we are. We actually have these workflows that we've become very good at because we've probably been trained, maybe gone to university, done some certifications, but we've just got so much experience. We've become domain experts ourselves. So we kind of have to break that down, the workflows, and just see, okay, so I could see 10% of my workflows being replaced by digital agents in a couple of years' time. Sure. But then if they get to this level of intelligence, maybe 30% of my workflows will be replaced. Now I'm going to have to, kind of start thinking what I'm going to do with that 30% of time that I used to spend on that part, which is, to be honest, probably the most boring part, the tedious part, which we don't mind kind of outsourcing to these digital workers. But eventually, if it gets up to 50, 70, then they start doing the kind of stuff that we really like. We have to find meaning and income somehow. So yeah, I don't have all the answers, but it's certainly good to think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what are the ethical concerns surrounding Agentic AI and the potential benefits of using Agentic AI in business?
Yeah, so ethics is the core of everything, right? So ethical businesses stay in business longer than unethical ones. And history is littered with companies that have gone under, bankrupt, Enron, just you name it, by being unethical, right? Doing stupid things. And so ethics is core. It doesn't matter if there's technology or no technology, right? So yeah, ethical principles are usually pretty simple. And there's fairness, transparency, accountability, do the least amount of harm. These are very simple and core principles. And they go way back, right, to the ancient Greeks, Aristotle, this is what they all set up, these foundations, ethical foundations for us. But every culture has them. And sort of even religions have these ethical principles built in, the Ten Commandments. So that, this is completely independent of the technology. Once you get those right and put it into your company's code of conduct, then we can build the technology around that and our business around those ethical principles. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, fantastic. And then an interesting one, how will AI affect governance structures in organizations?
In a big way, slowly first, but then all at once, right? So, yes. So I did touch on, we need this really strong leadership, the C-suite, but we're also going to need to set up governance, and it will come under our risk management that's already in place. So we're going to have to add AI into that risk management part. And big companies have structures in place, risk management structures and governance structures up to and including the board of directors. So it's just like we're adding the structure's kind of there. We're just adding AI and then agentic AI on top of that. We will integrate it into our risk management and governance structure that's already existing. So we're not just throwing everything away or starting from scratch. We're just adding these new technologies, which are the most impactful technologies we've ever invented. But you remember when the internet came along and smartphones, we didn't have to, start again. And it's the same here. We'll just add these in to our risk management procedures, and governance.
Brilliant. And then the next question. So, how would we be able to tell if you're a real person? As AI continues to develop and the lines blur further, what approach do you think we could adopt to differentiate between human and AI interaction?
We can't, right? This is called the
Mm,
Turing test. It's a famous Turing test. Like this is Alan Turing, right? In the 1950s. Yeah. He even said in his paper, we will have agents that are more intelligent than us. I think and he roughly got the time scale right as well. And people have been predicting this for so long. And so it's called the Turing test. That's the official name. But really, there is no way eventually that we'll be able to tell. But we will because we know it's sitting in the Amazon data center or it's sitting in our data center on premise. And, we're talking to that because how do I know? Well, I'm typing to it and it's responding to me. But really, if it's in a box or behind a screen, that is a Turing test. So you don't know human AI. Then we won't know. Yeah. Because already when I speak with, Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT, I can't tell. I mean, yeah, we've already
yeah.
passed it. The Turing test has been passed, guys. Yeah, that happened a couple of years ago. All good.
Okay. Fabulous. I think we've got time for one more quick question. Do you believe that businesses will need to retain human knowledge long term to ensure that AI is working as expected?
Yeah, so it is trained. It needs to be trained on all the human data we've ever produced, including public and private data. So they're called custom models if we train it on our proprietary data. So yeah, we'll be, yeah, as long as we're producing data, they'll keep us around. All good.
Fantastic. Well, look, I think the questions could go on all day. It's an absolutely fascinating, mind-blowing, exciting topic. And thank you, Peter. You can see the chat is going live with
Yeah.
going is populated with lots of people saying thank you so much for such a great session and how much they've learned, and one person saying their brain's about to explode. So and there's clearly a lot of great information and a lot of great points in there. So
Okay.
we just want to say thank you so much. Like I say, we could go on forever, but so yes, so thank you everybody. If you could move to the next slide, Peter, that would be brilliant. As a thank you for joining the GenCFO Summit, we'd like to share with you, this is just a taster of the content that we offer. There's hundreds of hours of replays, guides, cheat sheets, and lots more over on the community platform. So please do. You'll be redirected to this session immediately. You will be redirected to this page. I beg your pardon. Straight after this session. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you again, Peter, and we'll see you on the next session.